Nigeria's agricultural sector is a critical catalyst for the economic diversification, food security, and sustainable development. Despite being the largest contributor to the GDP, the sector remains underdeveloped and faces significant operational challenges. Smallholder farmers continue to struggle with low productivity despite government continuous investment in the sector. The government's declaration of a state of emergency on food security in 2023 underscores the urgency of addressing these challenges. As the government seeks solutions to the production crisis, there is a renewed focus on revitalizing the agriculture sector through strategic interventions, policy reforms, and partnerships. Under the President's Renewed Hope agenda, the goal is not only to avert the immediate food crisis, but also to build a more resilient and sustainable agricultural system that can support Nigeria's long-term development goals and growing population.
There was a time when the fertilizer prices globally were so high, about triple the normal prices, and we were especially concerned about the effects this would have on sub-Saharan Africa. Farmers in sub-Saharan Africa are not big fertilizer users, but the bits of fertilizer that they do use are actually very important for achieving some yields and for food security in the various countries in sub-Saharan Africa. And so that is why we tried, together with the industry and with all kinds of other partners, to establish a platform that would secure uptake of fertilizer in sub-Saharan Africa, even in those cases of extremely high prices.
AFAP actually started working under the Sustain Africa program in East and Southern Africa, again responding to the crisis of both COVID and the war in Ukraine. But when we looked and recognized that also in West Africa there were challenges, and the government signed a state of emergency around this rapidly growing the prices of fertilizer, we were excited to see how we could use the lessons learned in other African countries to help address the situation in Nigeria. And so we came and we were able to sign an MOU and an accord with the government to bring that knowledge, to provide advisory assistance. And really that has been the genesis of the work under Sustain Africa Nigeria.
So I was a focal point on this program in the Office of the Vice President, where this project was anchored. It's been anchored in the Office of the Vice President to leverage the convening power of this office, working very closely with the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security in the implementation. The Sustain Africa Initiative Nigeria is focused on advisory to the government and helping the government understand where the pain points are so that we can better address these challenges and quickly support the state of emergency on food security that we have.
I observed and noticed that the farmer data that we have is not verifiable data. That's why we want to take up the issue to verify that data. How do you verify the data? We have seen lists where there are farmers but they don't have farmlands, so which is to say that they're not farmers, really, so to speak. So we are looking at a situation where we identify the farmland first and then plug in the farmer with all the coordinates and all the biometrics. That in itself is, once we have a verifiable farmer data, would ensure that whatever intervention government is providing, whether by seeds, other inputs, agrochemicals, and fertilizers, that is targeted to the real farmer, gets to the real farmer. So it's first and foremost, I think the foundation is to have a verifiable database, and we're going to soon kickstart that, especially in this wet season.
The issue of the challenges faced when it comes to application, the right time, right quantity, it affects production, because fertilizer is one of the key inputs when it comes to agricultural production. So we will not take it lightly.
The Agricultural Input Resilience Program, dubbed Establishing Farmer Pain Points, implemented by AFAP in partnership with the Office of the Vice President and the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, was timely as it aligned with the government's agenda. One of the program's core strategies was to foster learning and to broaden the perspective of government officials, especially around the agricultural input and soil health issues. Government official participations in key continental and global convening, such as the Soil Health Summit in Kenya, was a pivotal moment, bringing together experts to discuss sustainable farming practices, crucial for improving soil fertility and crop yields.
Actually, I attended the Soil Health and Fertilizer Summit in Kenya. There, I was able to identify the numerous problems we are having in Africa in respect to soil and water management and fertilizer usage. We identified a series of problems, and in different events, we were trying to see how we can address all those challenges we are having in the food production in Africa.
Similarly, engagements with the International Fertilizer Association in Singapore and the African Fertilizer Association in Cairo allowed Nigerian delegates to gain valuable insights into global fertilizer landscape. These experiences will be instrumental in shaping Nigeria's government responses to existing gaps in the fertilizer markets locally.
The SUSTAIN initiative really supported us within government structures to really begin to understand what the possibilities are, to really begin to network and be exposed to what is happening in other countries, and also the interest of other countries in working with and working in Nigeria.
SUSTAIN Africa and AFAP has really opened the eyes of the NADF within the 3 or 4 travels we've had with them. Particularly, I have been exposed to the fertilizer industry on a global scale through my interactions with AFAP and SUSTAIN Africa. What I found most interesting is how self-sustainable these Arab countries have become. I think there is a lot of lessons to learn. It seems that Nigeria has one of the least blends of fertilizer, numbers of blends of fertilizers. I've seen in Ghana there is about 16 different blends, official blends. We need to see that that increases, that our blends are crop specific, and that our farmers understand how to better improve fertilizer utilization.
I was part of the Nigerian delegation that went to the fertilizer conference in Egypt. I could see the opportunities that countries like Morocco, Egypt, even oil and gas countries like Saudi Arabia, how they were intensively invested in the fertilizer value chain. Fertilizer is not just a social, venture. The business potential is massive, and that's even what's going to make the socio-economic impact much more intensified when you build a sustainable business around fertilizer, and particularly when we have the resources that goes into the in terms of gas, in terms of limestone, in terms of other inputs that are required in making fertilizer.
Under the SUSTAIN Africa Nigeria program, the African Fertilizer and Agribusiness Partnership produced a number of reports to provide government an overview of the agricultural landscape, a broader understanding of the existing financial mechanisms available for stakeholders, as well as a report on the food security value chains categorized by the 6 geopolitical zones with an aim of promoting evidence-based policy formulation. The Vice President, during the program launch, urged the need to focus on capturing the voice of smallholder farmers to ensure that programs and policies reflect their real needs. A series of town hall meetings and focus group discussions were held across 11 states, with each gathering more than 300 farmers. These meetings provided a platform for farmers to voice their challenges directly to a delegation of representatives of key government departments, namely Farm Input Support System, Federal Department of Agriculture, Department of Policy Planning, and National Agricultural Development Fund. Being one of its kind, the feedback was invaluable, shedding light on the barriers smallholder farmers face in assessing essential inputs such as fertilizers, seeds, and machinery.
The reason why we have come is that the Vice President, from the wealth of his knowledge, have sat down and looked with his committee, technical people, what is the problem in Nigeria? Why are we where we are? That is why the Vice President has said us to come through this program of AFAP and Sustain Africa program in Nigeria to come and inquire from you. Because why is everything still like this? Are there things we are doing that we are not supposed to be doing? Are there things you want us to do at a time that we are not doing it at that time? Are there things you have in mind you think can assist the government, because no man is an island of wisdom?
Let us know what the challenges are. Even accessing government, in terms of being able to reach government if you have a challenge. What are some of the concerns that you have so that you'll be able to harvest those concerns?
Women are out there. They want to farm. But their problem is inputs, machines, fund. That is money. We can't start business of farming without money. So we want, Mr. President, please, we want you to assist women from the machineries, inputs, and fund for them to be able to cultivate and to reduce this food security that we have in the country.
As a farmer, the number one challenge I have in my area is insecurity. Insecurity has sent most of our parents and our brothers and sisters to early grave. Insecurity almost empty their pockets because they will kidnap someone. We have to sell what we have to pay ransom.
When government want to provide some equipment to farmers, they didn't recognize persons with disabilities. Even they didn't think that maybe persons with disabilities can do this one or that one. That's why we are saying that if government can look at it critically to include, not just inclusive, total inclusive for persons with disability, at least they must give us the percentage in any program for persons in the farming. Okay, we want to distribute tractor for all the farmers. Okay, this percentage must go to the persons with disability society. So we need the total inclusive.
People who are fleeing the country are about 85% of them they are over 60 years of age. Our youth are not interested in agriculture because we have not made it attractive to the youth. The challenge we are facing now is how to attract our youth to agricultural practices. We cannot attract our youth with the present mode of agriculture that we are doing. We have to modernize agricultural practices in Nigeria.
Even having one of the major problem, there are some farmers that cannot identify the so-called original product and the fake one, and they will sell it for you at the same price.
Majorly the issue of security, where the Fulani herdsmen, they don't allow farmers to, even when you plant, even when you are to harvest your crops, before you know it, they've invaded your farms, and it will be difficult for you to have an harvest. So it makes life difficult for every farmer.
The engagement brought to light the plight of farmers as they seek economic empowerment. Insecurity, high cost of inputs, adulterated inputs, lack of mechanization services, and credit schemes were key messages from all the farmer engagements. This bottom-up approach will be crucial in shaping the policy recommendations that will guide future agricultural interventions.
The only challenges that we are facing in this country, in this sector, is access to finance. Agriculture is just like other business. It needs finance to grow agriculture. 3 years back or 4 years back, with your 250,000 naira, you can be able to grow 1 hectare of corn, which is not possible now. You need about 960,000, that is our EOP, for 1 hectare of maize. There's no any loan for farmers actually in this country. So we are calling on the president to please provide an agency or an institution that will support farmers with finance when they need it.
Our road network, our farm road network is bad. During this rainy season, anytime any of our vehicle goes to the farm to harvest cassava, if they don't sink today, it will break down tomorrow.
The poultry, we wanted to move into, we find out that we want to move into layers too, because there's demand for eggs in the capital. And the capacity the poultry have here, we cannot reach up with the 50% of demand here. So because of lack of funding, we want to move into layers too, to expand it and to meet up with some of the demand.
If there can be an enlightenment about these new streams of income in agriculture, I think it will go a long way in seeing youth involvement in agriculture. It will make agriculture more appealing to the youth.
Power issue. Power is a big problem here. We are producing feed before, but because of high cost of gas now, well, we have to shut down the feed production aspect. So power is an issue. High cost of feed too. High cost of feed. Now, some of our ponds take more than a bag, and a bag of even blue plant, just 3 mm, is close to 30,000 naira.
As a student and also a farmer, I need funds to enlarge my farm.
As youth, we are upcoming agricultural farmers, and most of all these agricultural products, we can't afford them. We don't have soil texture. We need soil texture so that we can test our land to know a particular crop to plant on that land and to know a particular fertilizer to apply on those crops so that the crop will heal well.
The Sustain Africa program in Nigeria has played a vital role in the country's journey towards agricultural resilience. By amplifying the voices of farmers and fostering partnership with global experts, the program is not just responding to a crisis, it is building a stronger, more sustainable agricultural future for Nigeria.
What we've been trying to do is to now create partnerships with countries who have developed expertise so that we can enter into an arrangement where we can build up a local capacity in fertilizer.
But what Sustain Africa and AFAP has done is to come on board and sort of support the mechanisms to ensure that there are coordination within doing a lot. So in that sense, you find utilities of scale. In that sense, what you also find is a common platform for knowledge sharing and engagement.
Well, my interest in participating in this meeting is at the core of what affects our industry, dealing with the challenges that has stunted the growth of a very promising space like ours. And for me, I think the issues have been discussed very frankly, honestly. The next phase is to start working on solutions that will make all the brickbats and all the back and forth worth it.
The African Fertilizer and Agribusiness Partnership and Sustain Africa program expressed their deep gratitude to the Office of the Vice President and the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security for the opportunity to support the President's renewed hope agenda to the food and economic security of the people of Nigeria. The results from the program has demonstrated the power of collective efforts in improving Nigeria's agricultural sector. Together, we made significant strides in understanding the landscape, identifying key issues, and taking the first step in developing actionable solutions to inform future government programs.
By all accounts, we've achieved what we hoped to and look forward to working on the recommendations in the years to come.
So actually, I have to commend the Office of the Vice President, the partners that are into this import resilience, because this is the first time we see a delegation right from the federal government coming down to the farmers and hear direct from the farmers the challenges they are facing. It has never happened in this country.
As we conclude this program, we look forward to the implementation of the recommendations outlined in our reports, and we call on all development partners to support the government in achieving its goal on food security in Nigeria.
I think the data is very insightful because the data has been captured at a time where we're in a state of emergency on food security. So really understanding what the current pain points are right now, I think is going to be extremely useful for us to be able to formulate targeted interventions, to be able to know where to deploy resources to have the maximum impact. So the project and the data is very timely.
The farmer that produces the vegetable we eat is equally as important as the engineer that is producing oil for our vehicle. Because if you don't eat, I don't know what will happen.
To learn more about our work and how you can get involved, visit our website or contact us. Let's continue to grow together.